Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Super Turbo 64, long rumored to be the comfiest podcast on the internet.
So comfy.
I'm Jason Vandervoort, and I am joined by the equally comfy Jeff Ross.
Throw away your pillow. You don't need that anymore. You just lay down, listen to some sweet, sweet Super Turbo 64.
That's the way to do it. Jeff informed me while we were doing our sound check that that comfy has made a resurgence
Yeah,
in, how people, describe things. So I was like, I'm so out of touch that I didn't even know that it, wasn't being used in that connotation.
Yeah. I mean, it's being like I don't know. Maybe resurgence is the wrong word, but it's more of like it's been rebranded.
It's the hot verb.
Adjective. Sorry, Jason.
It's all right. Call me out.
So tell me, how's your writing been going?
Great. Thank God for spell check.
Sorry.
It's fine. No, I'm fully aware that, even though I'm writing all the time, that my knowledge about, specific terms for grammar is absolute horseshit.
Sure. Who needs it, honestly?
Not me, apparently.
That's right.
That's what editors are for. And
Yeah.
spell check.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
What you been playing?
Been playing a lot of roguelikes. Sounds typical, but I
So on brand.
what I've been doing is throwing YouTube up on the right side of my monitor and playing a game on the left side of my monitor.
Are you
Just maximizing that dopamine intake.
Are you gonna be one of those people who gets like a dual monitor set up in the future to do that?
Actually got my dad's old monitor that he no longer has a PC, so he gave me his flat screen monitor. It's not a good one,
Okay.
which is fine, but I want to set it up. I just don't have a big enough desk yet.
Oh, sure. So, was your dad like, well, Jeff, I beat Cyberpunk and I have no reason to play PC anymore?
Beyond the master race, post PC.
Post PC.
Yeah. Wow. What do you do after you evolve to the next level? I don't know.
Ask Goku.
Yeah.
He does it every season. There's always a next form.
Yeah.
I mean, you thought Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan was the apex? Nope. Now there's Ultra Instinct.
That's right. I mean, I can picture my dad going Ultra Instinct, You got the horns playing, and you flipping. I don't know. Dad, if you're listening, love you. I'm sure.
And I'm
You're
sure your
going
next
Ultra
form will be
Instinct right now.
even more powerful.
Yeah. Please don't attack me.
I'm not even using 1% of my power. I haven't finished Super yet, so I think as I was watching it, Goku just briefly went Ultra
Sure.
Instinct, but I haven't really seen much
Where it
outside
goes
of that.
from
So most of my knowledge of Ultra Instinct Goku comes from fighters.
Sure. Yeah. It's Super has a cool arc.
It really does.
Totally worth finishing up.
Yeah, I definitely want to. They actually just released the trailer for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta.
Yeah, I checked that out. Actually, there's a lot of scuttlebutt on the old Twitter about how they didn't have any other announcements for Dragon Ball FighterZ, despite there being a big Dragon Ball and Bandai Namco style event. They're like, tune in for Dragon Ball game announcements, and they didn't have anything for FighterZ. So people are like, is FighterZ dying? Is it dead? Is it over? Which, I mean, it's 3 seasons. I reckon that they might be working on a FighterZ 2 now or something.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
But
I mean, not every game, can really have 3+ seasons,
Sure.
and still remain fresh and relevant. We were just recently playing some Street Fighter V, and it's on its 5th and final season.
Yeah.
And that just feel like the game has been.
That's a lot of seasons for any game.
Yeah, it's the DLC has outweighed the release game, which was always the intention, but it's just by a wide margin. There's just been so much stuff released after the game came out.
Gogeta looks People say he looks broken, by the way. I'm sounding like Trump again. People say there's a lot of scuttlebutt on Twitter. No, but
every DLC character in any game,
yeah,
the top comment is always, looks broken, game's broken, game's dead, gonna play something else.
yeah, true that,
It's just,
you know.
I don't believe
But
a
allow
single word
me
of
to
it.
tell you a couple things Gogeta
Right.
can do. He has the double air dash that
Okay.
Frieza has to pay 3 meters for,
Okay.
and then loses it in 20 seconds or whatever.
Hmm.
He also has a thing where if you charge up somehow, I think you have to charge up, but I saw a clip of famous announcer, I can't remember his name, but French guy, maybe you know who I'm thinking of.
Not off the top of my head.
But he's just like, I am not responsible for what happens next, and then he shows that you can one-hit KO with his level 3.
Oh.
So he looks a little broken.
Okay, so that's a little valid.
Yeah.
But
So, I don't know.
we'll see what happens when he comes out.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it. It's next week now.
Next week, yeah.
A few days.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That also reminds me, we're wildly off topic, right to begin with, but I just found out that Disco Elysium is going to be released on consoles.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I think actually this month, March.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean,
And they're like, they're probably adding the advanced version.
it
or
is
whatever.
that. Yeah, it's
that's
exactly
sick.
that. So I'm really excited.
pumped.
Disco Elysium was one of the games that I, was really jealous I was missing out on, and now I'm not,
That's right.
or I won't be.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for that. For that final version to come out or whatever with the full voice acting and stuff.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, that should be cool indeed.
Nice.
And it's a free update if you have the old version.
Ooh, I like that. I like when
Yeah.
you do that. But back to what you've been playing. I'm sorry, we kind of.
Oh no, I mean, I found the ultimate roguelike. It's just a slot machine.
Oh, yeah.
Did I talk about
Yep,
this
you were
last
playing.
time?
Yeah, you're Luck Be a Landlord. I think you were talking about
Yeah.
that a little bit on the last ep.
Okay, yeah, they added 2 new currencies where
Nice.
you can now you can remove tiles or symbols, and you can also re-roll your selection more often.
There you go. 2 more currencies.
Yeah.
It's almost a battle royale now.
Almost. Now I just need like a skin for my slot machine, or perhaps I need my little slot machine to do the Orange Justice dance or something. But yeah,
This game isn't backed by EA or Activision, is it?
No.
Okay, just curious.
It was funny because I went on the guy's Twitter who makes. Yeah, that's the second time I'm talking about Twitter already.
Mm-hmm.
But I went on his Twitter today. Not today. Irrelevant. He was he's like, I'm a game designer and I have ADHD, and I'm like, it explains so much. I don't know, just that cutting out all of the fat of a roguelike and just constantly.
It's
And
all
I
about
say
the
that
stimulus.
because I also have ADHD,
Sure.
But yeah, it's very stimulating,
Yeah,
It's,
I get that.
Just, I'm like, yeah, that adds up. I don't know.
That is one of the interesting things that you find in the indie scene, pretty much more than anything else,
Mm-hmm.
is you see people making the games that they are not finding
Yeah, that's true.
in any space,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe games that they're just not seeing anymore. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm also playing Loop Hero. That's the hot new roguelike thing. It's I wrote down here. It's antithetical to my typical roguelike experience in the sense
Go on.
that it's I don't usually play non action roguelikes that much.
Okay.
This one is Auto Battler.
Interesting.
So you go in a little circle, and you set up like the monster spawners and the healing spots and stuff like that for him to pass by, and so you're setting up the loop for him.
That's kind
And
of cool.
yeah, and it also has like a camp building mechanic where you like between runs you try and build up your camp and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Very neat. That does sound like an interesting mechanic.
It has some fun writing too. It's very cool, and like it's all about how it's almost like post-apocalyptic in the sense that some magic lich has destroyed the world, and
That'll
so
happen.
what you're doing is you're like remembering what the world used to be like as you walk through along these paths and
That's
stuff.
cool.
And
Kind of reminds me of Bastion and how you were rebuilding the world as you went through it.
Yeah.
That was cool.
So yeah, it's got like a fantasy art,
Cool.
to it, and it's got some sick 8-bit music and whatnot, chiptune. But yeah, I've been playing a bunch of roguelikes. I started Isaac's Fiend Folio mod. That I'm just getting ready for the real deal, I guess. But that adds like 250 enemies or something like that.
That's
And
insane.
it really is crazy how many enemies they add.
It's like a whole generation of Pokemon.
Yep. And they add like 10 items, which is pitiful. Just a pitiful addition, but it's
pittance.
Yeah, it's infinitely more than I'll ever add to the game, so I should be grateful.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's I think I'm going through Isaac exhaustion, so I think I'm gonna cut back on the Isaac until the 31st comes, and
I get that.
Yeah.
Is it March 31st?
Yep.
Okay. Give yourself a couple week detox from it, and then boom,
and binge.
Yep, right back into it, baby.
What about you, Jace? What you been playing?
All right. Well, kind of like last week or last episode, I'm still kind of been bouncing between Jedi Fallen Order and Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I actually just beat Remake this very morning, just a handful of hours before you got here.
That's great.
And man, it was fantastic.
Nice.
And what's great is, just as I'm kind of reaching the end of it, let's see, so for March, it's one of the free games of the month for PlayStation Plus people. So so definitely give it a play.
Shot. Yeah.
It's a very, very accessible JRPG.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, it really doesn't even feel like it. It doesn't feel like a typical one. Because you've got a very different combat style. It's very linear.
Okay.
In which instead of having like this big world map that you kind of explore, it's pretty much just a straight shot. There's periods of time where the game kind of opens up a little bit, and then that's when you kind of would take on side quests and some of the other goodies, but then it does narrow again. And I don't know, I feel like it was a very kind of interesting shift from kind of the the RPGs that I have been playing recently.
Yeah. I'm dying to know, does it have a satisfying ending, or does it have a cliffhanger ending for this first act?
So
a bit of both.
Yeah, a little bit of both. For like, I'm not going to give really anything about it away.
Give me all the spoilies now.
But, it is, the first part in Square, completely remaking the original game, but they're expanding on it and dividing it up into portions.
Yeah.
So, in a way, people who have already played Final Fantasy VII, or who at least have just kind of some idea of what happened in the game, in that regards, you're not really spoiled. But with the stuff that they've added and kind of some of the implications for what's going to be happening, you do kind of get this feeling of, okay, things might go in slightly different directions than what we're used to. That's and cool. So I think it's a kind of best of both worlds situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, with after, like, this is gonna kind of blend into what we were gonna do for today's main topic. After I beat the game and the credits rolled, the game gave me, some prompts and options, basically explaining and showing to me, hey, these are the things that you can do with the game now.
Sure.
That you've beaten it. I wrote down what all they gave me.
Oh, yeah.
So they gave me a completion list, showcasing all the stuff that I had done in the game. The side quests, how far I'd gotten in completing the bestiary, some of the side missions or side like items, summons, that kind of stuff. Then they gave me access to a chapter selection. So it's not necessarily like a New Game Plus, because you're able to kind of pick the chapters.
It's more like you're continuing your first game instead of starting a new game.
A little bit, yeah. And then you're able to, your level carries over. The advancements that you've done with your gear carries over, and just, the collectibles do,
Yeah.
And then they also give you a hard mode, which just, instead of, in the way it described it, it didn't necessarily just say that, these enemies are tougher now. It limits certain options to you.
Okay.
And I don't know, I haven't tried the new the combat yet on hard mode, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how it is, especially because, if I'm going through the game again, I'm gonna have, playing chapters where I was level 5, now I'm level 35.
Yeah.
So I would imagine it's still going to feel quite different. But, all of these things were made available to me, and it's all kind of the game's way of saying, you should play this again.
Yeah.
And
please don't sell me.
Please don't sell me. Yes. And it's nice because I feel like it's a good continuation, basically, of the conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago, where we were talking about, what makes a multiplayer game feel good to continue to play long term. And so today's topic is what makes a single player game satisfying to play multiple times.
Yeah.
So, there's most of the time I don't play games over, because usually by the time I've beaten a game, I'm already thinking about, the next 2-3 games that I have that are just like sitting on the shelf and just want to be played.
Absolutely.
And
frankly, if you have the resources, if you're an adult gamer, he nerded, then you have the ability to buy more games, and we're in a golden age in the sense of quantity to choose from.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's no shortage of the next game to play.
Right.
I feel like when I was a kid, that wasn't the case.
No, yeah, because depending on how much access to like money you had, like if you had an allowance or if your parents got you a game based on if you were getting a good grade on something,
Absolutely.
But now it's just your access to games is basically limited only to your credit card number and your sense of guilt for what you've done with said credit card number.
Stop reading my soul.
Yeah. Yes, but it's like there's still definitely been quite some games that I have replayed, multiple times, but just by and large, I'd say like 9 out of 10 games I play once.
Yeah. Same here. But I think that for me, the number one thing that is going to make me replay a game, you guessed it, is the mechanics.
Absolutely.
You just like, if a game has a great story, it's just like watching a movie a second time. It's so much less interesting the second time you watch it.
Right.
It's just the nature of, everything.
Exactly, yeah. You might pick up on maybe some subtext that showed up in a conversation, or like, that was in the umbrella stand the whole time. The biggest clue was right there. But
there's a dead body in the umbrella stand.
I didn't notice that before. But yeah, like games are kind of one of the only mediums that kind of actively encourage you to go through them again.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. You just the process of, because a game is going to be, even if it's like a non-random game with no RNG or like choices or anything, you're still going to have a slightly different experience every time you play it.
Well, sure.
In the sense that, the enemies are, you're going to miss more shots or something, or you're going to hit more shots.
Yeah.
Like, it's a new experience each time, technically. And depending on the game, it's going to be more of a new experience.
Right.
But yeah, for me, it's all about, I think, number one thing is mechanics,
Sure.
Like, the Naughty Dog games, the FromSoft games, and even, like, Jedi Fallen Order, which is like a mix of those two, almost.
Yeah, for real.
That was a game that I'm like, I have to replay this immediately,
Yeah.
Like, I have to try, and having a new difficulty level helps with that,
Exactly, yeah, to test those mechanics that you've, really kind of become attached to.
And it's funny, in contrast to, like, Jedi Fallen Order, I started it over immediately, and I did the same thing with Ghost of Tsushima, but with Ghost of Tsushima, I never touched it a second time after that first, they say that, like, we add, like, 30 different cosmetic items, and we add, like, that's mostly it. And I'm like, okay, I want to see what that looks like. There's mechanics with that, I think, too. They're not just, like, purely
cosmetic.
Yeah. But that open field you ride into in the opening scene? The cosmetic seller is on the other side of that field. So if you're, like, looking to have it spread out, and it's not happening.
Yeah, it's just there for you
right away, immediately.
Okay, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. But I've alluded to several things that make a game replayable, but what's your number one thing that makes a game replayable, Jason?
For me, the biggest thing is like, probably the promise of there being things in the game that you missed.
Okay.
Whether that is, different choices that you can make that lead to completely different routes in the game, or even different endings, depending on what you've done. One of the games that, I really, like, a good example would be, like, Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Because that's a very choice heavy game. And, like, there's certain elements maybe might not radically change, but there's enough stuff that can happen differently to make a secondary experience still feel relatively fresh, or possibly even, maybe even a better pick for me would be, like, the Mass Effect games.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Mass Effects 1, 2, and 3, I've all played them multiple times. Mass Effect 2 probably the most. Like, Mass Effect 2 was one of those rare games where after the credits rolled, I was like, let's start it again. That happens so exceedingly rarely for me. And it's like, you're always kind of looking for a game that gives you that feeling. But
they're few and far between.
They really are
special.
Exactly, which makes me all the more excited that Mass Effects 1, 2, and 3 are being remastered, and they're going to be available in like a few months ish.
Yep, I just saw a tweet. A third time Twitter's come up that it was like Mass Effect 69 days from coming out, and it was a compilation of all the characters saying "nice." Nice.
That's delightful.
Yeah. But that was my number one game for choices. Mass Effect. And it's interesting you brought up Life is Strange, because I feel like the choices in that game are so personal. Like, it's such a... You almost role play as Max in that game.
Yeah.
And therefore it's like... I'm going to make the same choices the second time around is what it feels like for me.
Sure. I encountered a similar thing with that when playing Mass Effect. Because, in Mass Effect, you get the Paragon and Renegade.
Yeah.
Every time I will be Paragon.
Sure.
And there was my most recent time playing through the games, I'm just like, all right, let's try to be Renegade Shep.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm just too nice.
Yeah.
Just like, Renegade Shepard, you're mean. You are not my Commander Shepard.
Just bonked my mic, and No, for sure. It's like, there are moments as Renegade Shepherd where I'm like, I don't think I want to execute this person. Just, after making a promise to them that they would live if they talked or something like that.
Yeah.
But
I gotta commit to the Renegade run.
But I don't. So it's true. Like with Paragon Shep, it's like every Paragon option, you're like, yes, Paragon, absolutely, I will do this. But with Renegade Shep, there's always hesitation. Like,
oh god, do I really want to kick this guy out the window?
Yeah, right. Like, I don't know if genocide's a great idea. But
this is gonna be mildly off topic, but one of my favorite things I've ever seen on YouTube is because in Mass Effect, you can customize what Shepard looks like.
Yeah.
And so there was a video of someone who made Commander Shepard look like Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And the video is called, I think, Barack Obama or Commander Shepard delivers a stimulus package or something like that. And it's him walking up to someone with a stun gun. He's saying, "You're working too hard," and just like electrocutes a guy, but he looks like Barack Obama in sci-fi armor. And it's
you're working too hard.
You're working too hard. And it's it's one of the videos that just like cracks me up. Continue. Like to this day I could watch it and it's still really funny to me.
That is pretty great. Yeah. No, choice games, games with choosing,
Or just, like games that have say a level of like time management, where there's only so many things you can do in a given time. The Persona games do this really well.
Sure.
Where it's like, unless you're basically following a guide to the letter, it would be really exceedingly hard to see most, if not all of the game on a single playthrough, which encourages you to be, I could see myself playing this again.
That's funny. That's a game I could not replay again.
I don't blame you. It's a long haul. Any Persona game
is,
it's a huge investment of your time.
It's like 100 hours plus for the Persona 5 or whatever.
It could be, yeah.
And Royal came out, and I'm like, I am ready to be, to have this new character and to like have a new semester and all that. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Just couldn't make it through again because it's not a mechanics-driven game necessarily, in the sense that, for me at least, action mechanics are more important than like
I get that.
The strategy mechanics. And,
yeah.
It's definitely a story-driven game.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like reading War and Peace twice, Great book, I'm sure, but the second time you're like, yep, this is the part where Tolfostalki dies, or Kozlov, or
is this stuff or are you just like coming up like pulling
just
names
random ass Russian names they don't exist? No.
Okay, I was curious, just like, how much about War and Peace do you know?
What if I just dropped the knowledge that I had read War and Peace? No, that's not me.
Okay. Yeah, I've never read it either.
Yeah.
No, I definitely get what you mean. And I think that probably lends itself to why I frequently don't replay games. It's just because the type of games that I typically am going towards, with like RPGs and the like, even if there are, plot lines, quests that you can miss and whatnot, still, most of the time these games are lengthy time investments. So playing them again, especially when in the face of other games you could be playing, they really have to wow me. So like, I have played Personas 5 and 4. I think I've played both of them twice, and I'm kind of working my way through Royal.
Right.
But most RPGs I play.
When's the last time you played Royal, Chase? Kind of making your way through. Has it been months?
It's been about a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Thankfully, Final Fantasy VII is not that long in comparison.
Okay.
Like, I think I did the main story and a decent amount of side stuff on my first run. I was about at like 35 hours.
Okay.
which far more digestible than some of the hour counts
Yeah.
that games will be offering you.
I completely cut you off though. You were saying something about how you had like you replayed Persona 4 and 5 and but because those are the types of games that you play are more story focused, you don't replay them as much per se.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's plenty of RPGs that even though I really enjoyed them, they most likely won't be replayed, and that's a good way to kind of switch over to the next topic. Like you said, you wouldn't play probably wouldn't play Persona 5 again.
Was it a mistake to buy Royal? Perhaps.
Who knows? I mean, you might go back to it at some point. You never know.
Yeah, that's true.
But one game that I know that I won't go back to play, even though I really enjoyed the experience, was the original Last of Us.
Yeah.
Like, The Last of Us is a fantastic game. And, but, I kind of, it's an emotionally exhausting game.
Okay.
You are on this roller coaster, through a good chunk of it.
Sure.
And even though it's, got, you said, very good mechanics, very good story, because of that roller coaster that it puts you through, I'm not really that interested in playing it again. And I know when you were talking about going through Last of Us Part 2, you had kind of were saying the same thing, in which like
the roller coaster of emotions.
Exactly, and I'm just thinking to myself, when am I going to be in the good frame of mind to play Last of Us Part 2? And it's like
there'll never be a perfect time to play Last of Us Part 2.
But it will happen. It's on my TV stand as we speak.
Okay.
But it's like there are just certain pieces of media that you can't, like, after you watch, play, read them, it's just like, this was great, but I don't need to do this again. One of my favorite examples is this movie that you and I and Trav all went to go see together, and that's Whiplash.
Yeah.
Which is a movie about, a drummer who basically, it's just like one of those movies about where, like, your passion just becomes, like, overwhelming and whatnot. And it's a tense movie,
If you're not familiar, it's like a drummer going through music school, and he has, like, a hellish teacher that's mentoring him. And it's like it's a very tense. It feels like a thriller despite it being a drama.
Exactly.
In terms of content,
So just because the movie had me on pins and needles through so much of its runtime, despite it being a fantastic movie, I'm like, if someone was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a few people over to watch Whiplash,"
nope,
no, thank you.
You're noping out there. Yeah, people still say that, but It's funny that you say that because you did bring up off mic. When we typically go through the bullet points ahead of time.
Because we are prepared.
That's right.
We aren't just going off the top of our
No,
no, never.
Jason mentioned The Last of Us, and I played that twice all the way through for sure, and maybe a third time, or like 75% through the second time. I can't remember. And I think that was a special case in the sense that the second time I played it, or the third time I played it, it was remastered on PS4, and I was starting to, like, do Let's Plays on YouTube. And I'm like, I need something to play that, and somebody had told me, like, I want to see, gamers, he nerded, I want to see somebody, if I'm watching a Let's Play, I hope it's somebody that's really good at the game. And I'm like, I'm not that good at The Last of Us, but I was good enough that I thought I could do the hardest mode without the hell that I went through. There was many times that I got stuck a few times.
He did go through hell. I feel like I should mention.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun nonetheless. But like, I would really disagree, in the sense that if a game gives me that emotional roller coaster the first time, that the second time I'm less likely to play it. I think that because for me, I know how it ends, and I kind of remember like the bullet points. I'm like, oh, this character lives. I don't have to be that worried, if they get sick during Act 2 or something.
Okay, that's valid.
So, but if it does give me that emotional roller coaster the first time, I'm like, I know that the second time is at least going to be interesting,
Yeah.
So
I get that.
Yeah, it's going to be. I have both the knowledge of which characters live and die, and then the interest of a compelling story.
That's one of the things that I'll mention Fire Emblem again.
Yeah.
It's like Fire Emblem Three Houses, depending on, because it's got a lot of that. You've got multiple endings, quests you can miss, divergent paths, and a good new game plus mechanic. Like, that's a game that I feel like has replayability, like, built into it, from the ground up, in a way that just feels immensely satisfying.
And that's totally. It's missing one key aspect from my list, which is
playability,
breeziness. I think, like, just the fact that it's, like, if the pacing, or if it's a long game, if it's like 30 hours or more, it's almost too long for me to replay ever.
That's valid.
It's like roguelikes. I was talking about those earlier. You were saying games that are made to be replayed are like Fire Emblem. I think roguelikes, they're literally like the ultimate replay me games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they want you to be replaying them. For countless hours.
Yeah, and there's, some games, some of those roguelikes, they're like the first time you beat it, you can put it down. And this other type where you're supposed to, beat it every time you play it, almost, or whatever. But, like with Hades, it took me a good 15, 20 hours to beat it the first time.
Okay.
And, which is, I think, lower than average, or higher than average in terms of time it takes,
Yeah, and Techie and I think, are a little bit farther than that, and we still haven't beaten it.
I feel you. It's hard. It's a hard game.
It is a hard game, and not to kind of derail it too much, but it's like, in the case of Hades, I feel like it kind of softens the blow a little bit, in which you still feel some progression. But one of the things that has always turned me off about roguelikes is just that feeling of you
haven't made progress.
Exactly, and you being like excruciatingly familiar with levels 1 and 2.
Oh sure.
And then like having a stumbling block at say 3 or 4. So the game ends up becoming, for me, oftentimes it becomes this cycle of just it's a level 1 simulator,
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
It's just that, and to me that can just get grating, and it just kind of saps your enthusiasm from it. But if you're better at the games, you don't have that experience.
That's true. Some of these roguelikes need like an easy mode or something, and in fact, Hades has one that I just haven't clicked myself.
It's like God mode or something? Yeah.
But
what does God mode do? Do you remember?
It definitely makes it easier. I can't remember exactly how. It's yeah, I don't remember. But it's like Isaac has a normal mode and a hard mode, and even like for most players of the game, the hard mode isn't so hard that you can't just play that over and over.
Right.
But if it is, then normal mode is just as good. You can. It's funny to me, a lot of the challenges in the game are on the normal mode difficulty. So you like press buttons, and like the RNG is so much more favorable to you in normal mode.
Oh.
So like you can open, especially like doing slots or pushing the button. It's like, you know, like you always get a payout, and it's like walking in. It's like drinking liquid luck in Harry Potter. You know, you're just like, it's always my day today. You know, but
that is one of the things that I enjoyed in my, you know, albeit limited time with Isaac, is even though I didn't play it an awful lot, I was still given some impression that I had at least beaten an aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you can beat Mom, you have technically beaten the game.
Yeah.
You know? But it's just, how much farther do you want to take it?
Yeah.
You know? And that's, for me, I think that's one of the things that makes, for me, Isaac, you know, a little bit easier for me to kind of wrap my head around than Hades. Because, whereas much as I like Hades, because even just reaching the final boss proves to be an incredibly taxing experience.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. I was praising Isaac.
Yeah, you were praising Isaac and dissing Hades.
Exactly, in the same breath.
Yeah.
It's just like, who are you?
And what have you done with Jeff's co-host?
Well, Jason, I'll give you the $5 I promised you after this episode.
Yes! Lunch is on me!
Yeah, I think one more thing that makes the game, and I actually, anyway, it makes it replayable, is the time since you last played it. You know,
yeah, that's big for sure.
It's obvious, I know, but like,
it's we haven't brought it up yet.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Like, if I can always go back to like a Zelda game that I played like 5 years ago and be like, this is incredible, you know.
Yeah.
But that's the joy of replaying older games, you know.
I've got a similar thing in which, you know, I've gone back to play Harvest Moon: Back to Nature in various iterations, you know, over the years. And it's like, you know, but it's also a game that I can't really say that I've beaten.
Sure.
You know, so much in that it doesn't really have, I mean, it kind of has an end goal, but for me, the feedback loop kind of tapers down until, like, so that it, for me, it becomes exceedingly hard to reach it, you know?
Okay.
So I've definitely started and played Harvest Moon a lot over the years.
Yeah.
But it's like a different kind of replayability, I guess.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley would be similar because you know, there's an end goal in Stardew.
Right.
But again, I haven't reached it.
Yeah, there's a lot of customization and stuff that you get to do with your own farm in those games that makes it more, you know, it's like, and you're just passing that knowledge on to the future, you know, like, oh, I know to separate my plants by, you know, in grids of 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's one thing where your knowledge of a game can carry over to enhance that experience.
Absolutely.
There's one game or a couple of games that I felt like I wanted to kind of bring up because they tackle replayability in a way that I've not seen in like any other game.
Interesting.
And that's both Nier and Nier Automata.
Oh, sure.
Both of those games are also examples of games that have replayability built into them. So, you know, your first time, you know, you'll play the game. Either they vary a little bit, but you know, just to kind of generalize, you'll play through the game. You'll beat an end boss, might not be the big boss necessarily.
Yeah.
And then you're given the option to play the game again. And it's, say, like specifically in Nier Automata, you might actually start the game at a different point.
Okay.
So, and then you are able to, you'll be playing through events of the game again, but things might be slightly different.
Okay.
And, you know, you've got plenty of stuff that will carry over from the previous times you've played. So, you know, the side quest that you beat in your first run does not show up again.
Sure.
You know?
Okay.
And so replays of Nier Automata, as you progress further and further down, can get shorter and shorter. But because they might tackle different aspects or kind of give insight into different characters, those shorter plays feel different.
Yeah.
Like in the original Nier, as you replay the game, you end up getting these cutscenes and views of some of the boss characters that you fight, and most of them are pretty tragic. And so by the time you get to the knowledge of these boss fights, you're like,
I have to put you down.
yeah, I'm sorry. You've already been dealt a very bad hand before you even met me. But it's just, I don't know. Those two games, they just have a really cool feedback loop in how they handle replaying it. And for some people, it can get to be a little bit tiring. I know Sean, he didn't really want to play the games, kind of over and over again. But there was something about the way that the feedback loop in those games worked for me personally that made them super enjoyable. So it's like, that might be a game that you could replay a lot because the mechanics are just fun as hell.
Sure.
There's enough interesting stuff going on. Just like Nier Automata, particularly, is a phenomenal game. I absolutely love it.
I have played and quit that game before.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh no!
That's all right. Yeah, it's it's replayable, I'm sure, and like I just I don't know why I didn't get into it, but something didn't click. But that happens,
It do.
Dear listener, you may play Nier Automata for the first time and find it to be your favorite game of all time.
I hope you do. It absolutely could happen. And I mean, Nier is being remastered, and it's going to be out on PS4 and PS5.
Okay.
That's one of the things that I'm really kind of excited about for the PlayStation 5.
Oh, sure.
It's like more than the games that I guess are going to be coming out for the PS5 in the future. I'm excited about, true backwards compatibility to be able to kind of have the freedom to replay some of these games. And also, like, some of the games that I've played in the last year that I really, really like are getting upgrades.
Sure.
And are going to be, they're going to run better, look better, have additional stuff when they're on PS5.
Yeah.
There's always that element, when you kind of have a game that comes out kind of in that awkward space between console generations. But with this next one, I feel like there's a bunch of really cool stuff,
And the fact that you can just, like, transfer a lot of these games, like, upgrade them, like, just by having an older copy and then being able to turn that into a newer version on the PS5, that's pretty cool.
Exactly. They recently announced there's going to be kind of an upgraded version of Final Fantasy VII coming out for PS5, so that'll probably be the time that I replay that. I might replay Yakuza Like a Dragon, at some point, and even Fallen Order, because that is getting a
really?
upgrade, I believe.
Okay. That's cool.
And so, granted, I haven't beat Fallen Order yet.
Yeah.
But, it's I'm making good progress.
How is that coming along? You're on
Dathomir. Yeah.
For the first time?
Second time, technically.
Okay.
I mean, because you are given the option to visit it kind of at your leisure the first time, and I did, but then I kind of hit a roadblock by not having a certain ability.
Right.
And now, this is the first time going there that the story specifically asked me to go there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. You're making good progress.
I am. Yep, I'm a good way through the game. But yeah, you should, it's getting kind of near the end of the topic, but you have had a hell of a time getting a PS5. You've been trying your damnedest.
It's true. I have fourth time Twitter alerts.
Fourth time?
No, sorry. Fourth time I'm mentioning Twitter.
Oh. I swear we're not sponsored by them.
Yet. But I have Twitter alerts set up that when these shops go live with a PS5, I can try and buy one. But twice now I've had it in my checkout box or whatever, and then I hit the final button and it says, sorry, out of stock, But
You poor soul.
yeah, whatever. It's a first world problem, to be sure.
Absolutely. At this point, I'm not actively looking. I think I have a cereal box here that says you can win the PS5 in the sweepstakes, so that's probably about the extent of my
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Taco Bell is always trying to get you to buy or to win a console.
Yeah. Oh my god, wouldn't that be some shit if I won a PS5 out of a cereal box after all the times you've been trying?
I wouldn't be jealous, I swear.
I would feel bad for you just because it's not even a cereal I bought. It's one of Tucky's cereals.
Okay.
But if it still, regardless, fell into our lap after the work you put into it, I would feel bad.
Oh, big deal. I hope that in the next couple of months the shortage ends and everyone can just buy one at their leisure,
Yeah, that'd be nice. But I've still got plenty of games on my PS4, to play until that happens. And so nothing that is currently out on the PS5 or that is coming soon on the PS5 is
It's a must play right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
for me, Demon Souls.
Right.
That's one of the best visual looking games I've ever seen. For
yeah,
sure.
it looks just absolutely gorgeous.
And I did finally I upgraded my 720 plasma to a 4K TV a couple months ago now, and so I'm ready for a PS5.
Yes,
and I
you
wanna,
absolutely are.
Yeah, I want to see that freaking Demon Souls
In all its glory.
Yeah, and I want to play Strive on the new console because the load times are going to be a lot better. I have seen, and the new Arcane Studios game.
Deathloop?
Yeah.
I'm excited about
cool.
Deathloop too. That looks fun. That looks like it would be a game that, definitely suits itself to replayability because it's got kind of like that Groundhog's Day sort of vibe to it.
For sure.
Which, given how the kind of games that Arcane makes, I'm really excited. Maybe I'll actually play Prey before that happens.
Did they make or did they publish that game? I'm sure they made it, but
I'm pretty sure they made it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a made and not a publish.
Yeah. Well, I forgot Prey even was Arcane. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. They released a secondary mode. Or
they have like a roguelike mode in that game. Yeah.
That's
right. The moon landing or something like that. Where the item order you get is randomized, and so therefore you can only go to certain areas in a different order and stuff like that, which is cool because a lot of Let's Players and streamers or whatever, they end up using that kind of mod in like Dark Souls or Zelda to randomize the item order or the boss order so that you're not sure where you can go right away and you're going to be underleveled at some point.
Interesting.
Always,
That seems kind of cool.
Yeah. So it sounds like they kind of borrowed from that idea. And
nice.
Yeah. I'll play Prey. That sounds good.
Yeah, I will too.
We'll see. That game has been in both of our libraries for like 2 years.
A long time. Yeah. But, I'd like to think that we will eventually get to it.
Yeah.
And I could definitely say I could probably see myself playing it before Deathloop comes out.
Okay.
Most likely.
Right on. Yeah, well, that pretty much wraps up our episode.
It certainly do, yeah. Is there any parting thoughts that you have?
Not a single one.
Not a single one.
I think go out there and replay your favorite game.
Exactly. Final question then. What are some of the games what do you think is your most replayed game?
If you don't count a roguelike, that's
I don't.
the question. Super Mario World.
Mario World?
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I've played through that game many times.
Nice.
But what about you?
If I had to guess, maybe feel like it could be Harvest Moon again could be one. Either that or Spyro 2.
Oh, really?
You know, I played the Spyro games a lot, and they just had a really good remaster done not too terribly long ago, and within the last couple of years, I've played Spyro 2 yet again. So probably something like that, I imagine.
You know, with Ratchet and Clank, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, there's all these like 3D platformers that I've never played because they were like Sony games basically back in the day. And I'm always like, should I try this stuff, or would I find it... Am I missing the nostalgia that makes it playable?
Now, see, I did not have any nostalgia for Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
But yet I played the most recent one, and it's great.
Okay.
It's just a solid game all around,
nice.
you know? And with the Spyro games, you know, there's obviously an element of nostalgia there for me, but I still the care that was put into these remasters is just so apparent, and it's just such a good looking game and just good feeling that, I don't know, I think if you want to really kind of branch out into some new 3D platformers, you know,
I got choices.
Absolutely. And you could always borrow my copy of the Spyro collection.
Well, that's kind of you, thanks.
And I think Ratchet and Clank was free at a time.
Yeah, and it was free again this month.
Oh, really? Nice.
They, for the stay inside and play, like, Sony thing that they're doing for the pandemic. Yep.
There you go. So, there's some good options for you.
What about Crash Bandicoot? Are you a Bandicoot crazy man? Are you a fan of that game?
I've played a couple of them, but I don't have the
remaster or whatever.
No.
That's right. You were more into Crash Team Racing.
I loved Crash Team Racing as a kid.
Right on.
I definitely, when it came to Crash Team Racing, the original, and Mario Kart 64, I thought Crash was a better game all around. I was just I am a lunatic.
You're in the minority. And as such, we should banish you. But
yeah, probably. But no, it's a great game, and I don't know. I could see myself definitely at some point playing the Bandicoot games.
Sure. Is there? I feel like there's one I'm missing. Ratchet and Clank.
Jak and Daxter.
That's it,
dude. Those games are great too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll try one day.
Yeah.
One of these. Jak and Daxter is more... Which one is, like, the shooty one? Ratchet and Clank?
Like, Ratchet and Clank started shooty. Jak and Daxter got shooty.
Okay, so they're both shooty nowadays.
And they are, yeah.
Okay.
Ratchet and Clank is still far more shooty. But,
okay. Maybe... Because they just came out with... Or is it yet to... No, it's with the PS5, right?
Ratchet and Clank is going to have a noob game on PS5, yeah.
Okay.
But Jak and Daxter hasn't had a new game in quite some time.
Oh, okay.
Just because, Naughty Dog did Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, and then going into Uncharted and whatnot, and they've only just kind of recently kind of started revisiting. So they did another Crash Bandicoot game not terribly long ago. It'd be great to see more Jak and Daxter at some point.
Yeah, we'll see. More 3D platformer games. They're fantastic. They're one of my favorite genre.
Yeah, they are great. Absolutely.
Have you seen Alex Trebek sing genre?
No.
He says it like that, like the French say it. Well, he passed away, I suppose.
He did. Yep.
So I should be using the past tense.
Correct.
But he used to say genre. Genre.
Nice.
And so there's a compilation video that you can watch of him going genre. It's like AC/DC are, huge hits in this genre of popular music. Yeah. It's so out of context. Like, it's just like, and I know it's way off topic, but it just, you think about, like, you're talking about video game, like, even he is like, it's so weird to say genre like that.
Genre.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. Listen to it. Go check it out. All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of Super Turbo 64. I think we had a good time today.
We absolutely did. Yep. Good times were had by all. Even Einstein, our unpaid intern, who is Well,
napping on the job
asleep.
again. Oh no, he's just watching.
He's just chilling.
I hope he's taking notes.
Probably.
He didn't get me my coffee this morning.
That's a bad sign.
I'd fire him if we could replace him easily, but
That's true. Yeah.
in this economy,
And yeah, Johan got me my coffee, but he clawed my legs open as he was handing it to me. So,
it's a worthy sacrifice.
yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, everyone. Have a good couple of weeks. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.